Hello everyone, welcome to this overview of the InStep Studio Kickstarter project. So what are we going to take a look at? Well, first of all, what exactly is this InStep thing? Then after that, we're going to take a quick look at what the plan is for it, what kind of schedule is anticipated, what the budget will be, as well as a quick demo of the application. So, what is it? It's intended to be a Windows desktop application that's tailored towards taking mesh files such as STL, OBJ, and similar, or alternatively finite element meshes such as Nastran meshes and similar, and convert them to a boundary representation or a brep file format such as the step format, which is very common amongst CAD application. Beyond that, the application is also intended to allow editing to some extent, obviously, and repair of existing mesh files. Also, and this is quite important, the application intends to detect common features such as cylinders, cones, and similar, um, if and when the mesh files are sufficiently well defined. So, what's the plan? Well, this is going to sound like supporters are guinea pigs, but that's kind of the idea. The intent is that people that support the application will get a chance to try it out, provide feedback, and any kind of bug reports. But most importantly is that supporters will be able to define the features they like, things that work about them, things that don't work, obviously, and kind of define the direction the application should take from where it is now. And then obviously it'll give you as a supporter the ability to preview the application and pretty much use it for whatever you want to use it for. So what's the schedule look like? Well, the Kickstarter will be a 30-day phase. And in that time, obviously, people get the opportunity to sign up and commit to it. But what's different from others is that as soon as the Kickstarter finishes, you will get access to the application. So this isn't a give me money now and maybe you'll see something in the future. It's a as soon as the project funds, you will get access to what's available right now. After that, there's going to be a phase in which continued development is going to be considered. All of that is detailed in the text on this page. Now, as far as budget, well, there is a fairly heavy web aspect to this, and for that, a web developer will have to provide some additional effort in order to get the licensing and similar done. So the budget for that is probably around 10,000, which is, maybe a month's work. The licensing development also needs to be completed. That is partially web development and partially software development. And then for the software developer, the budget is there of around 25,000, so probably about 2 to 3 months of full time for one person. Now from this, I'd like to switch over to the demo. The application itself is completely redesigned from the beginning, and the main purpose is to load in mesh files of different formats and write them out to a step file. So the workflow is shown here. You can import files. There's a whole bunch of varieties of formats that are supported, a couple of which are supported internally, and a number of others are supported through MeshLab. For this case here, we're just going to take a simple file that is consists of a number of cylindrical features and basically just add it or subtract it from a block. We can resize, we get some basic information, how big it is, etc. Also, the file is capable of being edited directly, so we can select triangles, we can delete it, create new things, etc. On the polygons tab, we can modify things, so we can merge data together. This is not Boolean, this is just lumping things together. There's also a bunch of different ways to fix things, fix holes, etc. The bodies tab here, we can split data, or we can also simplify it if the need arises for that. The interesting part here, which several other applications don't address, is the ability to recognize some of the features. Though this still has some bugs in it, the basic idea is that shapes like these can be represented as cylinders, etc. And it's fully automatic, so we can just click auto, it'll go in and it'll look for things and it'll convert them, and we end up with a relatively clean body. So there's just these holes cut out, etc. Like I said, there's still some bugs in here, but a lot of these actually work pretty well. Exporting is quite straightforward. STL, OBJ formats are supported. We can also write back to a whole bunch of formats supported by the MeshLab application, which is interfaced as a plugin. But what's really of interest is the step format. That's what we're going to show here. So we're just going to write it back out as a step file. Yeah, we're just going to write over that, and it's really quick, so there's been a lot of effort put into making this a lot faster. If we now load this in an application like a Libre here, we can import that file directly. So cylinder block, we load it, we get given the usual options. It processes the data relatively quickly. Obviously this is now on the side of the CAD application, so not something that we can directly interface or interact with. But the data is generally represented by the features that define it rather than just a whole bunch of triangles. So data loading often works quite a bit quicker. Once loaded, we'll get the data. And what's interesting here is we can actually now interact with this data as if it was an originally generated CAD file. So we can, do things like create holes. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but we can create a through hole on this just to show that the actual data is truly interactive and not just a representation of triangles.